Stuffing your campaign to the brim with engaging creatives is why I'm really thrilled this morning. Morning PST, by the way. Afternoon to all of our East Coast viewers and international at that. Creative. This is how advertising really ticks here in 2024. And as we look into 2025, we have audiences. A lot of our campaigns are investor acquisition, and we're able to target historical equity crowdfunding investors, regulated investment crowdfunding backers, I should say. But what you present in front of them in terms of messaging, in terms of visuals, can make all of the difference. And I see it here now to a far greater degree than I did, years back. When we first began running these campaigns, May 2016, when Reg CF, Title III of the Jobs Act, went into effect, it was just a matter of talking about the deal. Now we have to stand out from over 600 other issuers as of the stats this week. So, Brenden, that's why this topic's so near and dear to my heart. I know we do, a monthly different discussion, but so many of our client conversations, strategic partner conversations these days are around creative. Brenden, can we start by talking a little bit about your background and why you choose to focus on the creative for these
Yeah, of
campaigns?
course. Yeah, so I've been with DNA almost going 4 years now. So, I've been in the equity crowdfunding investing space for I think around like 5, 6 years now. Focusing on creative, whether that goes to social posts, ads, offering pages, webinar registration pages, everything visual, I have a hand in. And what really drives me is, knowing that these creatives are what are really capturing people's attention and bringing people to your page, right? Without any ads or socials or anything else going on, people won't really find your page. So the creatives are really the link that helps people stop scrolling, captures their attention, piques their interest, creates brand awareness, creates company leadership and that feeling that you really want to embed in your audience as they're either meeting you for the first time, or maybe they're in your retargeting audience, so that you're updating them, keeping them informed. Creators really do drive everything. Of course, messaging and copy play a huge part in that, but we really do need people to get to stop scrolling or just to grab that attention, right? I know that we're seeing, hundreds to maybe some people thousands, or, maybe like some of our younger teammates, millions of things a day on social media. So it's always good to find ways that to be creative to pull people in. Sometimes it's not what you expect, sometimes something static can work just as well as a video, or, vice versa. But it's all about testing and seeing where you can really dial in to, capture those leads, capture your audience.
Love it. It's something you and I have in common there, Brenden. And I should really emphasize here, Brendan's worked on hundreds of these campaigns. Some of the top Regulation A plus issuers to date, some of the top Reg CF deals of 2024 and past years as well. So what we're going to be talking about, this is not just Brendan's perspective as much as what Brendan's been built for after working on these high volume of deals with demanding founders that need to see a return, a good cost of capital on their deal. And Brenden is actually the director of the team that puts these decks together. So every month we have a planning meeting, and based on the topics we have in the content calendar for the year, put together these assets. So thanks for making these look so good, Brenden, and glad you get to showcase yourself here on this November webinar.
Yeah, of course. Definitely didn't put extra effort into this one because I'm on it.
They are all of this caliber. Uh, Very cool. And for anyone not familiar with DNA, we've worked on over 500 deals that have collectively produced 9 figures of capital using content, advertising, and outreach. We like to be an open book in terms of what we see working and not working in the space and at different points in time. Brenden, I'll pose this first question to you. Why are engaging creatives important for equity crowdfunding campaigns? This is
Yeah.
about reaching investors. Shouldn't the numbers speak for themselves, and the pitch deck, the offering page? Why do the creatives actually matter for bringing people to those funnels?
Mhm. Yeah, so I mean, we already kind of mentioned it, right? We just need to get people to stop scrolling, to capture their attention whichever way we can. Especially with the holidays, like we're saying, coming up, you can imagine advertising costs, are going to get more competitive. Tons of e-commerce brands are, putting their names out there. But like Jason said, the equity crowdfunding industry is growing. And so we're seeing more and more, investment opportunities that are advertising. So also, how are we going to stand out from them? Right. So it has to do with, keeping things native, and, testing different things out. Sometimes what you might think's working, or working for other companies might not work for you, and vice versa. It's all about testing, seeing what works with your audience. Maybe it's more the emotional side that you're trying to hit on, or maybe it's really straight the numbers, right? Like maybe people are saying what you're talking about with your revenue growth, your traction, could come from anywhere, maybe even, investors or other testimonials, seeing people mention you. So there's lots of different ways that you can pull people in with engaging creatives. And if you have something that feels, just lackluster, you're not going to get that same effect, that same connection with your audience as something that really stands out to them, right? People are just going to scroll right past it. They're going to skip it. And they're just going to essentially forget about it, right? We want to make sure that it's something memorable. So, people see an ad, they get an idea, maybe they retarget it again and they're like, oh yeah, I remember these guys, right? They're creating some cool stuff, or I like what they're doing. I like their mission, their value prop.
Absolutely. And it's really digital marketing at play here. So the importance of engaging creatives. Average smartphone user scrolls through 300 feet of their feed a day.
Yeah.
I
So I
never
saw
knew
the
that.
stat, and yeah, it's actually the height of the Empire State Building, which is crazy. You think, oh, like our phones aren't that big, right? But you're scrolling through them. That's a lot, right? I know, like I have here, people are spending almost 2.5 hours a day on social media, across varying platforms, of course. Some of them range from, like 20 to 40 minutes. I was looking when I was looking through stats. So it's pretty astonishing, how much people are on there. And so you can imagine 300 feet of different things a day. How are you going to get people to stop and pay attention to what you're saying, right? To what your message is.
I was in New York earlier this year. I can't imagine being at the top of the Statue of Liberty with my phone and being told, hey, you gotta scroll your way down. Even the stairs would be daunting. Uh, to then find an ad and feel like it stands out to me while trying to rush through that. And over the course of, call it 2.5 hours, I've even seen higher uh, social media screen time numbers. It's a game. I'll ask friends at times to pull out their screen time app, and you could see the breakdowns. And I've seen worse. Some would say those are rookie numbers. Lackluster creatives waste money, time, and not support the ideal vision of your brand. It's true. If I'm rushing through all of that and seeing ads for me, marketing, SaaS platforms, golf related advertisements, travel related advertisements, foodie related advertisements, especially here in Los Angeles. I look at many Reg CF deals. If that brand that we're singling out here does not put out as strong, if not stronger, messaging, if it's not engaging to me, scrolling right past it. I mean, I have a whole statue to get down. It's gone, out of sight, out of mind. How do we storytell with creatives, and what does that really mean?
Mhm. To me, I mean, obviously you can talk about your origin story, how you got started, and that story can be really powerful, especially if you have an emotional component to it, if you connect it to your life personally. We have a couple clients in the medtech space that are working with solutions to cancer detection and things like that. And by them telling their story about how, maybe they lost a loved one and how, this technology can really advance the space and things like that, it can be really powerful. People can connect to that. Of course, that's just one way that you can pitch your audience. To me, storytelling can take any part essentially of your raise and then creating a narrative around that. So, like we said, kind of like it could be your origin story. You can pull out your mission. Maybe there's a top highlight you have and you can tell the story. Like if you got a partnership, like, hey, like we've been talking to these guys for like 5 years, finally signed them on, right? Like we went through all these things, XYZ. now we're here and this is what we're planning to do with them. So it's really about finding what you feel are like those main hard-hitting points and then creating some sort of narrative around that in the story. That could be something, creative wise, it could be a video, maybe a selfie video that, the CEO is shooting, or it could be like a voiceover, or maybe even just like a motion graphic, or like some sort of visual showing like an award, right, or whatever that you're trying to portray. But really trying to, I think, sometimes single out one specific thing and testing those different angles. This is what we do for our ads. We're always picking some of the most common, most successful themes, and then working off of those and seeing how we can direct that story with the visuals and with the copy so that everything melds together really nicely. And from there we could be like, okay, the top reasons to invest story is actually the most successful. So then maybe there's ways that you can tweak your story, create variations, find different ways to um capitalize on that, right? So you're not just running the same creative for your whole campaign for months at a time, right? There's something, people call ad fatigue. So if somebody sees an ad, maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 times, it can feel kind of dry, right? So, you can add on to that, right? Creating new variations where you're adding to that story, maybe mentioning something else. Um, but definitely kind of single for me, it's like singling things out, segmenting things, and then, seeing what works in the end.
And it's so important to point out here where if you're just running the same messaging, like you said, ad fatigue. It can be great messaging, but how is that social media content evolving? I look at friends' feeds every day. They're posting different story feeds, grid feeds. If it's just flat, I'm quickly going to ignore them. And you make these offline, online analogies. If I see someone at a party every weekend and they're telling me the same thing each time, I'm not going to really want to spend too much time with them. Even if it's a great joke and I'm laughing, the next time it's pretty good. It gets watered down. Where if we look at it more along the lines of a story that evolves, of a social media content calendar and what's posted where and when, and the story starts here, and by the end of the month it's at this point, and we're talking about the problem, the solution, the product, the competitor landscape, the team, the trajectory of the industry. You have to be compliant about forward-looking statements at that, and this funnel that we have to the side of us here. I think I'm pointing to the right direction. It is on my computer. uh, it represents a marketing funnel. Marketing funnels, awareness, consideration, intent. Those that intend to invest, intend to purchase. In this case, really focusing on the investors. There's a drop off. They forget, something happens. They don't. Repeat investments actually in there too. And then the bottom, that red section is advocacy, peer-to-peer marketing. That's ultimate marketing. If I go golfing with my brother over Thanksgiving break here, and he says, "Hey, I just invested into this company. It's really cool. You should check it out," and tells me a bit about the story, there's a good chance I'm going to take his word for it, and it's going to engage me more than an advertisement or an article. You want to stimulate that. And what we're saying here with these bullet points is you can craft content that's specific for people at that stage of the funnel, whether they've signed up for an email newsletter and it's coming in through the email drip sequence, whether it's through the social media posts, and you've now had them start following you on social media. Maybe it's at attending a webinar like this, and the funnel they go down. Retargeting ads, we can have an ad served to people at each stage of the funnel based on event tags, and building creative specific for people at that juncture of the funnel. And it's really storytelling. The best speakers, the best comedians, uh, the best founders, beginning, middle, end. Apple, Steve Jobs, now Tim Cook, doesn't come out and say, "Hey, here's our phone this year. It's amazing for these reasons. Thank you for your time today. We fit this in a 5-minute window. We know you guys are busy. Take care." No, I mean, that's what Steve Jobs built his brand around, is these long, hour and a half. There's been longer, presentations, and why we did it. And, you have the product manager, you got a Johnny Ives there saying, we really wanted to be able to craft with the design, and we did not want, and here's where we're going. And, again, beginning, middle, end, talking about the why. We have a client, MagFast, that is one of the top equity crowdfunding issuers to date. And Seymour has actually taught me a lot about story and runs hour and a half long webinars talking about charging cables. And you think, okay, they charge your phone, they charge your computer. They have a catalog of other devices as well. Definitely check them out. But how do you talk about a cable for an hour, and being able to speak about the story, being able to talk about who loves the product and why, and testimonials and publishers, and what the situation looks like with bad cables and replacing them. And it's a real art, skill set at that. And it lives in digital marketing. You're able to get high volumes of impressions and traffic using these different tools. And you got to test it out, right, Brenden?
Yeah, I mean, testing is key. I kind of have a meme over here on the right. I have a lot on my plate right now. So this will be everyone on Thanksgiving. If you're vegan, of course, it'll be something different. But so I know people and companies can feel like this, right? Like there's just so much on your plate, so why am I gonna create extra creatives? Why am I gonna put effort into, maybe trying something new or testing different things? But you really wanna you don't want to put all your effort into just one single creative where you're spending, tens of $1,000s just on one video. You definitely can. But you want to know what's going to resonate with your audience first, right? So I would say creating more variations. Not everything has to be the most high production value, right? We're not shooting, cinema. It's not like a, Academy Award winning film. It's really about keeping things native, keeping them feel natural. Some of the best creatives we've made and tested have just been simple selfie videos from clients or investor testimonials, right? So definitely start off with a handful of options. Don't silo yourself into this is the idea that we want to try, this is the messaging that's going to work. It's always great to test. And when you find something working, kind of like what we said before, it's all about creating more variants of that. Maybe see if it was the copy that was working, maybe the headlines pulling people in. It could be something on the graphic, like the style of editing, it could be the platform. So definitely take all these things into account and see what's working. And once you find that thing that's working, start to scale, right? If you don't scale, you're essentially almost losing out on money, right? Because, you're expecting to get, similar returns, similar return on ad spend. If you're not spending more, then, you can expect to earn more, essentially, right? You can think about it kind of like a graph. Um, but yeah, definitely testing is key. We preach it all the time here at DNA, test, optimize, scale.
I've heard that. I've said that before. That's correct. It happens to be on the top of the page here. You don't always hear the creative team talking about scaling, and I love how you put it there. I think of an analogy of a blackjack table, and if you keep winning on a $5 bet, even a $25 bet, I think a lot of the bigger casinos, it's those type of minimums these days. Uh, if you had the resources and were betting at $100, $500, and calculating, not just burning through budget, but the wins would be that much greater. So we're not playing chance with cards. Everything is just a test. It's just an assumption until it's validated with data. We've built creatives that we love, that clients love, that underperform, and have also drafted out concepts and tested them and been questionable about whether they'd work, and they were top performers. So data-driven decisions, you need the actual analytics to show you what's working, optimizing towards the top producers and scaling it up from there. And about the medium, as you were mentioning, you want to be native to the channel. If I'm playing off that golf course scenario, and whoever I'm golfing with says, I have an investment for you, and pulls out, a computer on the golf course and starts showing me their PowerPoint. Yeah, what are we doing here? This doesn't feel natural. It feels like you're selling too hard. I don't know what's going on. Same's true of social media. If I'm looking at a theatrical film trailer, uh, I may be a bit thrown off. I'm on my Facebook feed here. I'm on my Instagram. If I see a selfie video that's similar to those stories that I'm working through, Statue of Liberty volume of stories that day, it's got to feel consistent with what I'm engaging with. Now, engaging creatives for different platforms, just to build off of that, Brendan, what do you look at when you're trying to determine how you're going to tailor creative for each individual medium?
Mhm. Yeah, I would say, across socials, I feel like reels or stories have definitely been one of the most popular forms of media, social media, especially like Instagram, Meta, even TikTok. They all have some sort of like vertical format video, right? So definitely that's something that I would test out and use for those types of things. If it's something more for like LinkedIn, you can think they have some videos on there, but you can think about articles and different things. So it could be the different types of content that you're creating for each platform, right? But you want it to feel native, just like you were saying, Jason. If you see something that doesn't look like, somebody shooting a video for themselves, or, feels just out of the loop. Like if you saw, I know TikTok allows it now, but if you posted a static image on TikTok, a lot of people would just skip it. They'd be like, why is this video frozen or something? Right? So you want to make sure that it feels and blends in with your feed. We've been saying, people are going through 300 plus feet of their feed a day, right? So you can imagine people go through. It is actually pretty easy for people to stop ads. I'm watching YouTube videos, an ad comes up, skip it immediately. I don't even watch the whole thing, right? But if you're on social, it's just a quick swipe, right? You're not even paying like, 2 cents to it, right? You're just like going right past it. So the more that it can feel like native, that somebody in your audience, or, it's creating some sort of connection with your audience, people are more likely to watch the whole video, interact a little bit more. You can get more engagement, repost, shares, likes. Like Jason's brother sending him something on Instagram, right, that he saw. So you're gonna get a lot more of that types of engagement rather than just people swiping through or immediately noticing it's an ad. Especially it's pretty crazy, now targeting and everything. Facebook, you can say one thing into your phone and then you're gonna get like 20, TikToks about golf, right? Um, so you want to make sure that when you're creating things, it does feel native and that people are, getting some sort of value out of your content, out of your ad. And then, especially for ads, more than socials, you're directing them to some sort of response, right? So to either sign up for or join our community, to sign up for a newsletter, to invest, to follow, to like our page, all these different things. So I would say think about the content first, and then find a way that you can weave in your opportunity to later. It can be really easy to post, every single day about your investment opportunity on your Instagram, right? But if mostly you're posting pictures and product photos and product shots and those different kind of videos, it definitely throws your feed off. Right. So you want to make sure that what you're doing on social stays consistent, but that you're finding ways that you can pull in the opportunity that you're presenting. So maybe it's not
Yep.
even in the graphic, maybe it's in the copy, or it could be a carousel or some sort of NCTA slide. Um, but try to stay true as much as you can to native platforms. You just use trending sounds. If there's like a meme or like some sort of GIF template that's going on, you could hop on that as well. Not everything needs to be super high polished. It can be fun. Social media is meant to be fun and engaging. Those types of things are, I think, what gets shared the most, right? Within friends, like memes or different things like that. And then keeping in mind, tone, length, presentation. Um, you're not going to want to have a long form video on TikTok. You want to have something short and sweet, maybe 1 to 2 minutes at the most, right? For like a post. For ads, even shorter, thinking about 30, 45 seconds. What you can do with those first 5 seconds to really pull someone in. So it's all about, seeing what's native to the platform, spending maybe a little bit of time every day to see what competitors are doing, what's going on in the space, and emulating what you're seeing online. So it's not always about recreating the whole playbook. It's about seeing, I think, what's working, what other people are doing, and
Yes.
you can mold that to your brand.
And with this recommendation, uh, comes the emphasis on doing your own research, focusing on following trends, keeping in mind the tone, thinking about the demographics. You need to really research this. So If you haven't looked at our webinars for strategy, I would check those out. There's strategy checklists, and you want to really understand what your competitors are running right now to reach your target audiences and convert them to get their investments into their round. Success leaves clues. And it doesn't have to be limited just to the brands that are running investor acquisition campaigns, trends we're talking about on these social platforms as a whole. It could be specific to your industry, but don't just go off your own thoughts. Use those A/B tests, great. Also build some creatives that reflect the industry and the audiences that you're going after. So organic content should inform and engage. It can be educational, providing value for your audience without always asking them to take actions. Brenden was mentioning CTAs, calls to action. If we're just asking for if we're asking for something in every communication, we can become an annoyance. We can be ignored. Content should be created to generate a following and a community. What makes you follow a page? Uh, Participate in a community, have those same elements, that same dynamic in your content, and invite that contribution, not just of the monetary assets. And this could be long form articles, really get into depth about a topic while refining how you're articulating the material, really polishing it with a strong article, webinars, content like this, and you can have an industry thought leader the way I do here with Brenden, one of the top creatives in the industry. Uh, Especially if they have a large engaged audience and you invite them to your webinar and they promote to their followers, could be a big deal. Uh, Also short form, memes, industry stats. It's all in the follow-up. It's not the first touch point. It's seventh touch point, 17th, later in many cases that an investment occurs. You want to be intentional about what those audiences see, especially if they're searching around, doing their own research, doing their own due diligence on the deal. If your content stack is not as exciting as the feeds for other investment opportunities they're looking at, you may get lost in the mix. So organic is often overlooked by issuers, but most issuers don't raise more than 100K, 110K. 50% never get above that on a Reg CF. You can raise up to 5 million, but less than 1% of issuers do that. Top 10%, you're talking 750K or more. Most groups are not successful at this. And if you're following these recommendations, your storytelling, you're using organic media, you're taking the top organic posts and putting ad dollars behind it and guaranteeing impressions of that presentation, you're going to be in a better place. But if you overlook it and think, no, I'm not interested in this. I just want to raise capital. I am just interested in return on ad spend. You're missing factors that can make all of the difference of your conversion rate, which is the most important metric. So statistically, a good content marketing funnel, including organic content, highlighting organic content at that, is directly connected to a higher conversion rate and a stronger return on ad spend. Asking the hard-hitting questions about what goes into these organic channels to actually engage and be of value while informing to the target audience really makes all of the difference. Big Austin Powers fan here, Brenden?
Yeah, of course. I saw something similar and I couldn't help myself. But, paid media should feel organic. Like we were saying, think ads should feel native. You don't want to be scrolling through your feed and then automatically easily be able to see an ad, right? You want it just to feel natural, just like it's, maybe one of your friends posting something or somebody you follow, right? And it really does all have to do about targeting. So like Jason said, really doing that research and due diligence on your demographics, seeing who's really engaged with you before, who are your current customers, investors, whether that's age, could be geographic region, all those different types of things that you can take into account. And we want to keep it nice, short, and sweet. So we mentioned before, maybe 30 to 45 seconds. They can be longer. We definitely have seen ones that are longer. Like I know Jason mentioned Seymour before. I think he, creates almost like 2 minute long videos. But they work. He's able to connect with his audience. It resonates with them really well. He's getting hundreds of people coming to his webinars, so he's found what works for him. But I think part of that is it really comes down to his enthusiasm and his willingness to try and test different things. And then of course a call to action where we want some sort of direct response. So, investor marketing, of course, it'd be invest in our campaign. You could be doing lead generation, so like join our community, sign up now, could be a register link, register now. So keeping the CTA nice, short, and sweet towards the end could be something that you mentioned in the beginning. But definitely for paid media, really focus and think about those hooks that you can use, those things in the first 5 to 10 seconds. Maybe it's a visual that you're presenting that looks really cool, like a really cool 3D render or something, or it could be like something that somebody's saying, right? Hook to pull people in. You want to be testing these different things out. People do have short attention spans, so if you can grab people within that first 10 seconds, it's likely that they'll at least stay on and watch the rest of it, especially if it is a shorter length clip. um no, definitely recommend Reels for paid media. Of course, you can definitely use static assets as well. It is all about like the design, keeping things nice and clean. Um, and like we said, it's all about testing. But I would say, it's organic, but with freaking lasers, you definitely, if you can, put maybe a little bit more pizzazz, more effort into your ads. I would say, like, if you're gonna put your energy into anywhere, I would say put a little bit more of your creative efforts into your ads. Organic, definitely, it's great to have, creative pieces of organic content. But your ads are really going to be pushing the needle. And I think if you can put, that extra 10% of effort into there, it can definitely pay off in the long run.
I love when I have to double check to see if a piece of content is sponsored or an organic post. To me, that's a strong execution, and love this saying. We hear a lot of talk about influencers. The word influencer is almost cliched at this point. It's broad, and it could mean, you know, individuals with over 1 million followers, page, individual. Under 100K is looked at as a micro influencer. Under 10,000 is looked at as a nano influencer. User generated content, UGC, is very popular as well too. It's all based off social dynamics and tapping into trusted sources to talk about your deal. If you say how great you are, okay, you're confident. Uh, that could show a lot. If others that are respected um, thought leaders talk about how great you are, how great your investment opportunity is, it can mean a whole different thing. So have stats here, 21 billion influencer marketing, 2023, 69% of consumers say they're influenced by influencers. 60% say influencer generated posts consistently outperform branded posts. So that's the marketers who are running these campaigns, the people who are graded by their performance, measured. Their worth is tied to the effectiveness of a campaign. That's what they're saying. And 46% of Americans are watching more UGC on social media, based on recent studies. So you want to figure out how you can bring in that third party validation to your organic content, to your paid advertisements, or as Brenden would say, organic with freaking lasers. You want to really be thoughtful about how to incorporate influencers into your creative. And notice I haven't even talked about their audiences yet. If you're able to have them repurpose to their audiences, all the better, but you don't need it. You can find ways to run ads involving this social proof and be building your audience along the way, be driving that traffic into your funnel. If that comes from an influencer pointing out your deal to their 10,000 followers, 100,000 followers, what have you, great, but don't feel limited. So, gentleman has quite a smile here. Look at his production studio. Why are endorsements valuable?
So they've always been valuable in marketing, like you said, providing that third party validation, right? If I see like Shaq promoting something, and I like Shaq, right? I follow all his stuff, maybe I'd definitely be more interested in checking it out. It's all about the people you follow, how they're presenting it. And social dynamics and trust play a large impact in influencers, right? Like Jason said, they can leverage their large audiences. Maybe your email list is only 1,000 people, right? But then you can connect with an influencer or someone with some online clout, and then your message gets sent to all those people, right? Those thousands of people, especially if it's within your niche and somebody's talking about you, it'll definitely get more eyeballs onto your page. Is it something that's going to direct convert? It could, but it can at least bring your company into the eyes of, thousands to millions more people, creating that brand awareness, creating that trust and credibility. Like we were saying, other people talking about you definitely makes a bigger difference than, you just speaking about your company, the whole time. Not that, that can't be effective, but, it's always great to hear something from other people, get other opinions. If you're hearing something, maybe you have like 3 or 4 influencers, telling you the same thing. You're like, hey, like this actually might be something legit that I want to look more into, right? That I want to invest in, that I want to buy, that I want to, subscribe to. So it's all about creating that brand trust, especially, if your audience is small. It's a great way that you can pull different people in and, have them join your journey with with the influencer that you're working with.
I noticed you chose a photo here with an influencer with a brown shirt like us for Thanksgiving.
Mhm.
Very creative. I like that. Influencers versus UGC.
Yeah. So
Yes.
they're pretty interchangeable. Like Jason said, I would just say the main thing, influencers, they're doing creation and distribution, whereas UDC creators typically are just doing the creation. So, they both, I think, have their pros and cons, both have their own space. I would say, influencers, obviously, of course, they have the more substantial following. And, as they're distributing, you're also getting your stuff pushed to their whole community, which can be really valuable. Because they already have that thought leadership, credibility in their own space. So they're essentially kind of giving you theirs like vis-a-vis, right? But typically they are a little bit more expensive. Sometimes, things can take a little bit longer. It's all about really creating those partnerships and those relationships with them. Of course, if you're getting more of like a micro or a nano influencer, like Jason was saying, that are smaller audiences, it'll cost, a little bit less. But, I would say get creative, find different ways. You can also do some sort of exchange. Of course, you have to talk to your compliance, about like releasing shares and things like that. But, you can get creative creating these different partnerships with influencers. For UGC, they just focus on creation. So you can, provide them an outline, give them a script. Maybe if they've worked with you before, you can just give them a theme or, send them your product or whatever. And they'll take it away and start creating. Right. Sometimes they do have a following, so you could talk to them about maybe cross-posting onto their platform. But really, you're looking at UGC creators to create content for your brand to post. So, just like it's coming from your brand, it'd be like on your social platforms, can be used for ads and those different types of things. But it's great to create, that buzz, that social proof. Both of these are, and you can get that extra third-party validation without maybe having to pay, higher costs for maybe a really expensive press release or other different types of, marketing advertising.
Well said. Well said. So we have some examples here. Uh, can you hear the volume, Brendan?
I can't, no. It's
Here's
just
an
it's a little quiet.
example.
Yeah.
Here's an example for Mode Mobile and a UGC creator, 14 seconds. This is John Bertino, thought leader in the digital marketing space, SEO, has large audiences in his own right. Maybe even people define him as an influencer. I happen to know he's an educator at university level and puts all these different online courses in. So you can see some editing in the beginning. Many of these UGC creators are very talented. You can see the graphics and there's definitely creative of the founder and the team talking about the product and the investment opportunity, but being able to hear it from a trusted third party, a trusted source, even if you don't know who John is, it can really go a long way. And beyond shaping your opinion, shaping your thoughts, shaping your narrative, it gives off a sensation of, wow, people are talking about this brand. I've seen Jake Tran, I've seen, various types of influencers talk about Mode Mobile. It starts to feel like they're everywhere. Everyone's talking about 'em. This is a big deal. I should probably invest. What if I don't invest and they grow? Oh, wow. I mean, there's a fear of missing out there. Here's another one. Kevin Fulmer, crowd scale, creates, this is for Motion Track, creates a whole video breakdown, um, you know, the subtitles in an attractive way, the lighting, the video feels native for the platform. We're looking at graphs, we're looking at charts, we're looking at candlesticks, and really getting a sense that, hey, these guys are at the forefront. And if this guy invested, if he's talking about how great of a deal it is, and happen to know he's invested in over 35 different deals, he publishes it on his site, has an email newsletter going out. This is a great way for the brand to be presented to the prospective audience. And a couple examples there. We'll have more for Brenden to talk about, but overcoming creative roadblocks. What do you see most typically, Brenden? What should founders, should marketers be taking into account as they're seeing those examples and determining how they're going to hit their KPIs, their key performance indicators?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say, you start off with your initial variants, test things. If things aren't working, I'd say you can always find some sort of nugget or piece of knowledge or insights that you can take from your ads. So even if they're not working, you can look at, hey, is this one getting a better click-through rate? You can look at all your different main KPIs. So, cost per metric, views, engagement, and take those things to account, when you're recreating your messaging, your visuals, what you're sending to your audience. And it really just does depend, but I would just say the main thing is just don't stop. You got to just keep trying, keep testing things out, keep tweaking things until, you find what's really hitting and that does resonate with other people, right? And the people that you're looking to test, to reach. So I don't, I want to say, Meta's definitely been the most successful for us for investment crowdfunding. Using our audiences, we're finding the best results there. But, really, if you're not finding anything, it could be worth trying different platforms, right? Maybe your audience, your industry, people are more on LinkedIn or, maybe they're more on X or some sort of other platform. So, finding different areas, testing different platforms, maybe trying Google ads, native display ads, different things. There's tons of different things you can test. And on the creative side, think about those platforms. We talked about it before, creating things that are feel native to that platform, right? So maybe you're just creating, the wrong types of creatives for your Facebook ads. Maybe you're posting all these static graphics on your TikTok, or like using them as ads on TikTok, which typically isn't as effective, right? So taking all those things into account, but yeah, no matter what, just continue to create and, continue to see where you can optimize.
When in doubt, test it out. No matter what you do, keep creating. Test, 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 test. Even as you're optimizing, even as you're scaling, you do not want your hands cuffed to a specific set of creative. You always want to be looking at new variants on top of even evergreen creative that you run indefinitely. And the only way you're going to be able to find, high performing creatives is by trying out new ones, being able to compare where you're getting the best results. Engage experts. Does not have to be DNA. It can be the marketing professionals with the portal or broker dealer you're working with. It can be, various types of experts in the space, consultants, quarterbacks. Definitely should speak with some of those. I know we welcome a call at any time. I'd like to say the same about any of the groups that I mentioned here. Really look to figure out what you can run next, and never stop testing. Don't stop. Brennan, I know I had the privilege of talking about the last creatives. You wanna tackle these?
Yeah. So, if you're feeling roadblocked, also don't be afraid to put yourself out there. We've talked a lot about influencer UGC style types of videos, but as a founder, as, the leadership team of your company, you can definitely also put yourself out there as well. It can feel a little bit daunting sometimes to, take a video of yourself, have somebody shooting a video for you, even if it's just your phone, right? You can still kind of feel that, whether it's anxiety or, unsure feeling. But, it's a great way to connect with your audience. We say it, all the time, people invest in people. So if you can create kind of like that eye-to-eye connection with people, and it's almost like you're giving your pitch, right? Or, selling your company, right? But you're getting it out to, hundreds, thousands of people out there. Um, and, it can be hard. I would say, take as many takes as you need. Practice if you need to, you can definitely script it out. I would say at least for a couple tips, like start brainstorming some of your hooks, so you can have maybe like your base video and you can be testing, 5, 6 different types of hooks that you can put at the beginning of your video, so you can test and see what's working. But, even if it feels silly or, it is silly, it's a meme or something, funny that people are doing, it's still gonna create that engagement with your audience. It's more likely for people to share it, for them to stop, pay attention to what you're doing. And, as you continuously do these things, you start to gain more of that social following, that presence online. And next time somebody sees your stuff, they're going to remember, right? Or they're going to be like, hey, that's the Atom Beam guy. Hey, that's the Kobo guy, right? And then you can kind of get a better sense and people feel more connected to that.
So what's happening here with Charles, one
Yeah.
of the top live regulation A plus issuers in the market today,
Mhm.
Atom Beam? Can you
Yeah.
walk us through this creative and why you think it's impactful?
Definitely. So Charles does a fantastic job of shooting his own selfie style videos, and a lot of them are just simple updates. So this one, for example, he's at a conference, talking about what the conference is, what they're doing there, all the types of people they're talking to, different partnerships and everything, kind of giving an update. It's kind of cool. He introduces a couple other people on his leadership team as well. And, as you can see, it's just Charles holding the phone, right? And sharing it around. It feels really natural to social media. Doesn't feel like it's overproduced or, anything crazy, but I think he does a great job and his team do a great job of presenting themselves, give you some more insight, some updates. Obviously, right, everyone can't be at the conference with them. So it's really great that, they can share this with their community. Also shows that they are moving, in the right direction and that they are putting themselves out there. If you're not hearing any updates from a company for, days, weeks, months, you're kind of like, hey, I don't know how well my investment's going to do, or, you're not so sure about the company. So people can do these types of videos. Like I said, pretty simple, right? Just like a talking head. When I edited these ones, I just kept it pretty simple. We didn't even really need like B-roll or anything, just because it's cool. Like it makes you feel like you're there, right? Which I think I love about it the most.
Yeah, I mean, look at all the movement. You really feel like they are at the forefront. There's these moving banners, top brands in their space. They're a data compaction company. Being able to have that alignment in terms of brand value with Boeing and CPI, all these major corporations, I think really says a lot. Also, getting to see the faces of the team, and we see Charles in a lot of these videos puts himself out there, and it resonates. I mean, these ads produce high volumes of investments. So it's beyond just, hey, what can I do for a few minutes on a phone, and more of where can I distribute that? How can I have the lasers, the paid traffic, and really be able to get it out to millions of people to see thousands of investments over time.
Mhm. Yep. And then the second video here is for a company called Kovo. They are a new fitness app. So I thought that, the CEO did a great job of presenting himself. He, had a lot of nice quick clips, really hit on all the hard points. And, like I said, he's just like holding the phone. It feels natural, just like any other UGC kind of style video that you would see. On this one, we were able to include some more B-roll that they had from, some of their videos, which I thought was great. And adding motion graphics, things like this kind of tie it all together. And it's definitely fine just to have a talking head for the whole time, depending on how long the video is. If it's a little bit longer, it is nice to splice in different shots of B-roll, take different cuts, zoom in and zoom out and do all those things, to keep your video engaging. I don't, like I said, not everything needs B-roll, but I'm pretty sure there's a stat that says um, the optimized videos will have, I think, a new different type of visual every like 3 to 4 seconds. So it's pretty fast, right, for socials. Definitely depends. I feel like sometimes that can break up like the message that you're trying to say, but definitely play around with it and it'll help out with your creative vision.
Absolutely. Blend of influencers, UGC, and of course you. You're able to capture that 15, 30 seconds, minute in some of these examples that you feel is most impactful when you speak to prospective investors. And you could capture that for distribution to millions. And it goes beyond just a static creative and can be more engaging. I feel like I'm able to understand a founder, connect with them more. Um, if they're putting content out like this. I put out content like that, not for an investment campaign, but for our brand. And when I'm IRL, when I'm in real life events, people come up to me and tell me they've been seeing my content. I'm all over their social feeds. They've been enjoying the podcast, and it's confronting at first, but the more you do it, the better you get out of it. The better you get at it, and the more investments you can get out of it. If you're seeing millions of dollars of investments come through your videos, like Charles, your next rounds, you're going to be far more comfortable doing it, even excited to put it together. And you're able to repurpose it for many different formats. You want to find creative ways to utilize what you already have. Uh, and re-edit videos to create new designs, re-edit videos to match the appropriate platform, use b-roll, maybe from your pitch video, other clips you were able to take. When I do a podcast, we distribute it in full, but I can pull out little clips. I can pull out b-roll and send it to the guests. They're able to promote, we're able to promote, use the b-roll with new voiceovers or add to UGC videos. Also pull out standout sections from longer form content. So I was mentioning offline, online, what resonates with audiences offline, get the highlights of that and do it online. You can actually see in, these different video platforms where people pay the most attention. The tech does the work for you. You can then create an edit, throw some nice visuals over it like we just looked at, and be able to repurpose for other channels. And then it's all about measuring. Numbers are the only way to measure anything. You want to be able to track the effectiveness of your creative strategy, not just creating ads that you feel look good, but you're able to see a lift in terms of click-through rate or even the impression value you're buying, the CPMs. If you're running ads that are more effective, you're going to win a higher bid uh, positioning in these algorithms, and you'll see the CPMs drop, the click-through rates go up, conversion rates go up, but you need to walk into that campaign with the plan. You need to know what you want to track and maybe even set the right parameters accordingly. Brenden, how do we track the effectiveness of creative, and what type of metrics should viewers be incorporating into their activations?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, like, so for creative, I feel like for ads, it's, pretty basic ones, click-through rate, your conversions, how many impressions you get, the cost per metric, so how much you're spending to get somebody to convert, reach impressions. I have a screenshot here of an example of a Whatograph page. So Whatograph essentially, it's just a dashboard how we present and share our ad results. So you can kind of see all like the base things here. What I do love about it is, every week, multiple times a week, I'm looking at these pages and seeing what creatives are actually performing, the top performers. So I can't hear, but on the dashboard, you could scroll down. I can see which ones are getting the most impressions, checking all these metrics, which ones are the most successful. And those are the ones that we like to play off of, create variants, and, allocate more budget to. So, definitely take a look at these things. But if you see like, hey, this creative is getting a high click-through rate, but not a lot of conversions, it could be a great ad, but the messaging just might be off, right? Like maybe you need to adjust something so that the messaging really does emphasize the investment opportunity or that you're, selling a service or, what the end goal is, right? But I would definitely say track your main metrics. And then as we always say, like find what's converting, scale, create more variance off of that.
Yep. And we're not disclosing the client here, the marketing efficiency ratio, the return on ad spend, but could tell you those metrics were very, very high. This is based off, 5 million impressions roughly from about a million people. A little less in the sense that it's a 4.46 frequency. That's how many times each audience member saw the ads. There's over 258 investments, a lot to work off of here. But it's really the upper funnel and mid funnel metrics that can make all the difference for the lower funnel metrics. And socials are meant to create community, foster engagement that leads to the conversions. So track metrics, especially in your organic content, such as shares, follows, reposts. Don't forget to interact with other like-minded brands that can organically grow your audience just by making that interaction visible. But it's not all in the metrics. Having consistent posts shows potential users, potential investors. You are active and established as a brand. You match the valuation that is shown on your offering page. Timed this out pretty well, Brenden. Final thoughts as we look to wrap this up.
Yeah, I mean, final thoughts, just keep creating and don't stop. Don't stop believing that you'll find that creative that will really resonate and, get those conversions, get that engagement from your audience. It can take some time doing creative testing, but, there's always something that you can do. I would say, if you're feeling really stuck, always look at your competitors. There's, even just like other, people within the space, see what they're doing, you don't have to copy it, but use it as inspiration, right? There's inspiration everywhere. People are posting, thousands of things a day. So, it can be about, a little bit of due diligence, but then just continuing to move forward. Nothing's worse than, stopping everything altogether, stopping posting, stopping creating, right? You want to show people that you're active. If you stop, people are going to feel unsure. And, for me, at least personally, for a lot of my friends, if you see something cool, you're going to want to look at somebody's social media or their website or check out their blog, check out what they're doing, right? See what's happening recently. So when you see go to check out something like that and it's been like a year, 2 years, and you're like, oh man, that's kind of old, you feel a little bit unsure, right? People want to know that the companies, the brands that they're investing in, are current and active today. And, social media, I think, is one great way that you can do that.
Don't stop believing. Love it. Love how you put it together and that you emphasized not to quit. These channels will work. It's a matter of how to get them to work, to manage them to a point of effectiveness, changing out the audiences, the creatives in the funnel, the creatives, the messaging and the visual, and going through different variants. The funnel, that's where the conversion rates are going to show up, especially the final, investment conversion rate. So if you stop early, it could be a total loss for you or marginal win at that. We've worked with groups that saw decent performance over 4 months and filled their entire round, full cap, within 8 months. So, and many points in between where it seemed to make more sense to stop. So, you really want to continue to test, optimize, scale, to continue running new creatives and don't stop believing. Thank you for sticking with us for this full hour, even going a couple minutes over. Please, please, please don't be afraid to reach out to Brenden, reach out to myself. We are reachable on LinkedIn. You could send us a note on our site. We'll get you in contact with Brenden. And Brenden, amazing job on the deck. Thanks for putting together this presentation. It's been a blast creating content with you here.
Yeah, I know. I had a good time. I can't believe it was like a year since we've done one. So I'll have to do one soon.
Awesome. And thank you, everybody. Have an amazing Thanksgiving if you're watching this in real time, and we'll look forward to seeing you in December. Who knows? We may even have a holiday episode.